Hi, this is Zach Wolf. I'm a wedding photographer based in Orlando, Florida, and you are listening to the Workflows Photography Podcast.
Taylor, it is so nice to have you on our show after being on your show. And I am curious, before we dig into all the fun topics we're going to talk about today, you just hosted an event, right?
I did. Yeah. It was incredible.
How'd it go?
Oh, dude, it was so awesome. Yeah. It was our first workshop retreat. My friend Jesse Herman and I hosted, and it was pretty transformational. Just a really cool perspective to be on that end of it, and everyone seemed to really get a lot out of it.
And remind me, even though you're in New York, this event was in Florida? Am I right?
No, it was in New York still.
It was in New York. Okay.
I was in Florida soon before that, so that's probably
okay. I remember something about Florida.
Yeah. I had a wedding down in Florida, so that.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, no, it was like Western New York area, just south of Buffalo. So if you're a Bills fan, it was like 45 minutes south of that area.
Nice.
Yeah,
nice. That's awesome.
Yeah. It was
sweet.
Cool.
How many people did you have at the event?
Yeah, so we had 5 photographers. It was cool. 3 were from the general area.
Yeah.
But one was from Alaska, one was from Colorado. So it was pretty cool just to have like different perspectives and just people from different areas come and experience it. But we also had I think 9 different models come through for the different styled shoots, and different guest experts come in. So it was a pretty incredible experience. That is
awesome. Yeah, cool for the person in Colorado, but the person in Alaska definitely won. That's a heck of a hike.
I was like, oh wow! We were getting filling out the information, checking out the attendees' information, and I was texting my friend Jesse. I was like, we literally have somebody coming from Alaska. We got to be on our A game. They are coming from across the country, and we cannot mess this up. And we were confident we were going to do well. But yeah, dude, it was really cool to see everyone come away with stuff, and just getting responses from them, hearing that we're implementing this, or we're doing this, or I got this big win, and that's the stuff you love to see. Sweet,
so good. So let's dive into some of the workflow items that are working well in your business. So the first thing that you mentioned is consistency. What you mentioned to me before we started recording. Consistency in your client experience, but not just for your couples, but for everybody that was involved. Could you dig into that? Because you might think thinking about wedding photography, thinking about engagement photography, thinking about family photography, for me, in my case, proposal photography, the consistency is crucial for the actual couples, right?
For sure.
But you mentioned everybody involved, and I'm so curious if you can expand on that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'll start with just the couple first, and then it'll kind of lead into the other aspects. So one of my ultimate goals is that the client experience is phenomenal from start to finish, just like anybody else wants to bring to their clients. And when it comes down to it too, I always think about, if I'm working with one couple and then one of their friends gets engaged and then wants to work with me, I want them to know that they get the same overall phenomenal experience that their other friends got. And when I go and dig deeper into what I want to provide to them, I'm always thinking about, what are the things that they wouldn't expect, and what are the things that are going to truly help them not have to think as much. I always tell them on my consult calls when I'm working with any couple, I'm like, my ultimate goal is when we get to your wedding day, the less thinking that you have to do, the better, as a part of that client experience piece of it. But, of course, it comes down to scheduling the final call, making sure that everything is smooth throughout the transition and communication process to ensure that the clients are having a great time and also feel like they're well taken care of. But there's also the part of the client experience where they don't really think about it or have to worry about it, but it's a part of it is your communication with the other vendors that you're working with, and also the consistency and the experience that you provide everyone that's involved at the wedding. So when it comes to my communication with the other vendors, I want them to know that I'm here to work together. So I'm providing, especially the DJ, the videographer, if there is one, the content creator, the coordinator, wedding planner, whoever's involved on the day of that's going to be with me throughout the entire wedding day. I want everyone to be on the same page. And I want that type of communication to be consistent from wedding after wedding. So when it gets to about, a month out, I've already had my final call with the couple, but I'm also sharing that same document with all of those vendors. So that way we're all on the same page. So when we're showing up on the wedding day, we're all good to go. We've all communicated. We've all met, especially if it's a vendor that I haven't worked with before. And if I can have that consistency in being sure that I'm communicating well with everybody that's involved working with this couple, then I feel like the overall experience for them is going to even be more elevated without them even knowing. And
when it's I was going to ask you something that and you started bringing up a little bit, so which I was happy about. when there's a vendor, let's say there's a DJ, right, that you've never worked with before, are you asking your couple who the other vendors are ahead of time? I'm assuming yes, to know if you've worked with them before or not. But when it's somebody you haven't worked with before, are you asking your couples for the contact information, or are you just Googling it and finding it yourself and then reaching out yourself?
Yeah, no, great question. So as a part of the final document that we complete together, there's the timeline, the family picture variations, pretty standard stuff. But I also have a portion in the document that they have to list all the vendors that are associated with the wedding day that they've hired with their emails. Like, it's a requirement. And I explain to them that it's a great way for me to be able to connect with them ahead of time so that we all can work well together and make sure that everybody is on the same page, especially when it comes to the timeline piece of it. And it's also just a great way to be able to provide them, the other vendors, photos after the couple gets them, of course, to be able to utilize them. And they love that portion of it. So that way you're not scrambling around trying to figure out a way to get their contact information to be able to share the photos with those other vendors as well.
Are you using a gallery solution that has a vendor feature built in, or are you just sending just the regular gallery link?
Yeah, so I know in PickTime there is that option where it will use that AI feature to be able to be like, the videographer or like the DJ, and like they're going to get a lot of dance floor photos and stuff. I just like to typically share the whole gallery. It just makes it easier, and then that way they can be selective of the photos they want to use. Of course, I'm like, tag me, credit me, blah, 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 as a part of copyright issues and all that. But yeah, it's just a great way to build a great relationship with the vendors ahead of time as well. So that way when you're working together again, you have that established trust and that established relationship.
Just to dig in even further, the vendor stuff, this is one of my favorite things is networking with just no matter what type of genre of photography you do, there's always another company related, right, that you could network with, right? So I'm always interested in this stuff. When you share your gallery with the client, right? Let's say for me in particular, I know that I share low-res digital files with them, right? They have the ability to download 1,000 megapixel at the longest length photos to share on Facebook or whatever they want to do. They don't just get the high-res for free. They need to either buy a print or buy the high-res. When it comes to vendors, I would give a higher quality digital file, right? So they might want to do more with it. What are you doing? Are you doing what I'm doing, or are you? What are you doing for that?
Yeah, no, great question. For the vendor specifically, or for both?
Yeah, both. Sure. But I'm more curious in the vendor side, I guess, for this conversation. But I'm both.
Yeah. Okay. So for the couples, I do provide the websites and the high resolution, because with weddings, it just allows them the opportunity to order and print the photos that they want. So that it just works well with what I do. When it comes to like the wedding albums and stuff, I have a process if they want to purchase one. But for the vendors, I do provide websites and high resolution as well, because I do explain that the websites is typically nice for social media and so on, and even if they want to use some on their webpage. But I also provide them the high resolution, so that way then if they are using some stuff for marketing purposes, prints or postcards or whatever they want to utilize, then they have that option. So that way then there's just the freedom of it. And, of course, going back to the piece about like, they need to credit me and they need to provide that type of credibility for it. But I just want to give them that opportunity to be able to be excited about being a part of this experience with me with the photos that they can get.
Yeah. And I think that comes back to the consistency, having that for vendor after vendor after vendor, but then also, couple after couple after couple, family of the couple after, and so on. They're all getting the same experience. They all get to do what they want, how they want, with what you're doing, right?
Absolutely.
So it's really good.
And galleries to the couple too, because I'll even give them like a checklist of things they need to do ahead of time before they even view the photos. So that way the experience of it is also really great. And it's also fun to encourage them to, do a viewing party with family and friends after they've had time to look at the photos. Yeah,
true. You mentioned another thing that was going well that was also consistency, and that is related to your website, which is another favorite topic of mine. Can you share what is going well consistency wise when it comes to your website?
Yeah. So back in the fall, I was just kind of curious of what page I was on in Google when I was searching for my area wedding photography. So Rochester, New York, wedding photographer, Rochester, wedding photographer. And then I kept scrolling from page after page. I'm like, what the frick, man? Where the heck am I? So I was like on page like 6 or 7 back in the fall for these keywords. And I'm like, if I want more people to find me in this area of inquiry referral source on Google specifically, I need to start working on this and be consistent with it. So I actually got some information from, his name is Joe with SEO by Joe. Really cool dude out of Colorado. But he talks about consistency in blog posting and taking advantage of that, utilizing those keywords. He's like, if you really want to be able to increase your Google ranking utilizing blog posts, like you've got to go weekly if you want to really increase it faster. I mean, you can start with bi-weekly and monthly, but I'm like, you know what, I'm going to go all in. So back in late fall, probably November time, I started blogging weekly. I made it a goal of mine to continuously blog weekly for an entire year and see what that would do with my SEO. And after 6 months, I'm now on page 2 for that. And I'm like, my goal is to obviously get to page 1. But because of the statistic that most people don't even go past page 1, let alone page 2 when they're searching for a service, that was important to me. Because I'm like, if I'm on page 6, I was never getting Google inquiries, truthfully, before that. But now I am. And it's awesome.
And it's only going to get harder because now you've got, not only do you have social media that falls into the page 1 results, right? But you're also getting now the AI stuff. You have ads, right, that are also there on page 1. But you also have the AI stuff that's fairly new still, and becoming the default now, especially on Google, that you're going to see the AI results. So now you have to make sure that you're not only optimized for search engines, but optimized for the LLMs, these AI chat systems, right? The chat GPTs, the Geminis, et cetera, which is a whole nother thing of, do you want these AIs to scrape your website because now they're also scraping your images, or do you want to block it? If you block it, now you're not showing up in AI search result. So it's a there's a catch-22 here, right?
It's a battle. It's a consistent battle.
Yeah.
But yeah, a big investment into my SEO optimization in general, just using keywords across all platforms, even in my social media posts, anything that is Google related.
Yeah, can you give us an idea of, so weekly now for a year, so you're talking 52 blog articles, let's say in 2024, right? It's a lot, right? For anybody.
Yeah.
1, are you outsourcing the content writing at all, right? Or are you doing it all yourself? And 2, can you give us 1 or 2 examples of what you might blog about that is helping your main keyword that you want? For
sure. Yeah. So what's really been helping me, well, first of all, I actually do it all myself, because I think I know I can outsource if I wanted to, but when it comes to writing the blogs, I was there. I was at that wedding. So I do use AI to help get the blog post started with the description piece of it, just typing it out and being like, write a 800-word blog post and I give it a lot of information. But what really helps is being able to ask ChatGPT to use keywords within the post itself to be able to help, optimize that in that way. But I do enjoy writing about the wedding day itself. And I think that's what people overcomplicate is I'm like, just write about the wedding day, write about a few of the key moments that you really loved about that wedding day, you loved about the couple. Because I feel like there's an overcomplication that people make writing blog posts. It doesn't have to be complicated. It's simply just talk about it, especially when it's fresh. Sometimes what I'll do after a wedding while I'm downloading the photos, I'm just putting in like a notes thing that says, these are a few of my favorite moments from this wedding day and this is why, because it's fresh on my mind. And I
might even recommend using a tool like, I have two of them. One is Cast Magic. The other one is called Voice Notes. Where right after your wedding, you're in the car packing up.
Yeah.
You're cooling down, right? Clearing your head, but it's still top of mind. You open up Voice Notes, you open up Cast Magic, whichever one. There's so many apps that do this. And you just spit it all out there, right? In audio form. You don't have to write anything. But then it logs it, and then the next day or next week, whenever you're ready to start blogging about it, you can go to it and have a chat with your voice memo.
That's so
and
cool.
Then it help get you started on the blog article that way. That could be a good way to like take the mental stress of I have to write a blog article, right, about this.
Yeah.
A little bit off your plate because now it's truly top of mind.
Yeah.
But you don't actually have to even write anything. You're just spitting out your words.
Oh yeah.
From the day.
Oh yeah. I don't like physically type in the notes. I'm like just doing like the voice recording in a sense, but it's good to know about those apps. That'd be very helpful.
Voice Notes, you can record it itself, but they also now in its own app, but they also now have WhatsApp integration. So you could either use, which is great for people that are not in the US because WhatsApp is far more popular outside the US than it is inside the US. But what's cool is its integration. There's two WhatsApp like channels. One is you can record in WhatsApp to Voice Notes, and the other one is you can ask it questions through WhatsApp. So you can basically text message your notes. It's the weirdest thing, but also very cool at the same time.
Yeah, no, I'm like nerding out with you right now. I love this stuff. It's mind blowing how many different AI apps there are out there. Like people just don't even think about it because it's still like up and coming. Like it's been around for several years now, but dude, that is pretty sweet.
It really is. It really is.
That strategy just so that way then like when I'm trying to write these blog posts, it's not trying to like look back through the photos and be like, remember what happened and all that stuff. That way it's just setting yourself up for success for these blog posts.
Yeah. When you were, just to dig into the SEO a bit more, when you're doing the titles of the blog post, for example, are you titling it by your couple's name or you're titling it by like beautiful wedding at so-and-so's venue, right? Getting the venue, which now is location. Like, is that the approach you're taking?
Yeah. I'll typically put the venue name in the title just because I think that's a lot more powerful because I can put the couple's name in when I'm writing about the blog post. And, but like when people are searching for wedding venues, it'd be nice if my blog post about this venue for this couple shows up. But like, it just targets those keywords better in that way. Cause then I use, the keywords like Rochester, New York wedding venues somewhere in the blog post as well to help with that SEO optimization.
Do you have a Rochester, New York wedding venue landing page?
So I have great question. I have created a blog post about Rochester, New York wedding venues that I wrote last year, but it is on my to-do list to write another one.
and doing that and then linking with like another image, right, to each of those blog articles for each of those venues.
Yes.
You're now telling Google like, hey, I've got it all here.
Right. What are they
it's ready
called,
for
like
you.
Outbound links, right?
Outbound would be going to another, like if you were to be linking to the actual venue's website.
Yes.
Which I would recommend on the blog article, but
yes,
not necessarily on like a landing page for yourself.
For sure.
but internal linking, it's sort of like, I think they call it the skyscraper, where it's like top bottom, being like the top floor is like the landing page with everything, and then everything below it is all the blog articles related to that main topic.
I got you now. Yeah. Because because I want to go back to your second question about the type of blog posts that you asked.
Yep.
So I do blog a lot about the weddings that I do, sometimes the engagement sessions that I do, because I know it's a great way for inquiring couples to be able to check out, what the type of work that I have in different venues and different settings. But I also have written about different venues, and I plan to do that even more, about, like top Rochester, New York wedding venues, or talk about venues specifically and why they are a great spot for these types of weddings, and be able to showcase my photos specifically from those venues. Because I know that the venues themselves love to see that, and they will share those articles. And I think it's just a great way to collaborate with those venues as well in that regard.
Yeah, definitely. Venues love seeing photographers talk about them.
Oh yeah, they're like, sweet. Yeah, because I don't think it happens that often. So it's a great way to optimize that type of relationship as well, beyond it just being a blog post in general. Yeah.
And by the way, it doesn't have to be just venues. Like there's a photo that was shared. We're recording this early June. I think at the end of May, there was a photo shared in the Imagine community that was a venue plastered with flowers, top to bottom, floor, wall, ceiling, tables. They were covered in flowers.
It's wild.
That photo drove a lot of discussion, because it was like, what the heck's going on here? It's a beautiful photo. That is something to blog about, to get back to the florist. And double whammy, actually, because now you're talking florist and venue. They came together to do that, obviously. Like, that's not just the florist doing it. They had to get approval.
Right.
So, like, that in itself, that one photo is a blog article that could drive a whole lot of discussion and some good networking juice, and potentially some good SEO juice in there as well for the florist, but on your own site. So anyway, it goes beyond just the venues. It could be anything, right?
Yeah, talk about engagement session ideas for couples, engagement session locations for couples in this area. Yeah, there's so much you can do, and it's good to diversify, and because it also shows your knowledge in the field and your relationships with these people. Couples love to see that. They're like, oh, he's worked here before, or oh, he has a good relationship with them, and he's really knowledgeable about this location or this type of topic and niche in this industry.
Yep. I want to dive into now one area of your workflow that you're struggling with, but you're working towards improving, right? Maybe this is your goal for the rest of 2025, even though right now we're in the beginning of like crazy wedding season. So probably not. But maybe it's your goal for the beginning of 2026, right? Which we're approaching. But the one area of your workflow that you're struggling with, that you're working on improving, you mentioned to me, is your CRM workflow, that you're not taking full advantage of what you have offered to you. Can you dig into that a bit? Like, what are you using? To what extent are you using it? And what do you think you're missing out on?
Yeah, so I currently use HoneyBook, and I believe it's a great CRM. It just has so much to offer, and I use it in a way for like my contracts, my invoicing, my questionnaires, and so on, and it's great. But I feel like I'm missing out on a lot of the features that HoneyBook actually offers. I heard on the vendor table, Michael and Lauren talk about how they use like the AI, like they record the conversations in their when they have consult calls, and HoneyBook will translate it and summarize the conversation. And then there's also just some other features that I feel like they're creating and developing that I'm not staying on top of and taking advantage of, that could ultimately help my workflow improve and take less off of me, because that's what CRMs are for, is they're to take certain workloads off of you, so that way you can focus on the areas in your business that will make you more money and be able to help you improve client experience. And that way then you're not investing in areas of your business that are in a sense worth maybe $30 to $40 an hour, and you can invest in areas of your business that are going to ultimately make you $200 to $300 to $500 an hour. So I do believe it's important to think about that, taking time to invest in these areas of your CRM. Like maybe it takes you a couple hours, but it can save you so much time long term. And I'm slowly trying to get better at it because I know it'll be good for me. And that's the thing about being an entrepreneur and a business owner, is that there's always areas of your business that you can grow in, that you can improve on. And, I'm just giving you this as a spiel to explain that I don't have it all together. There's still all like
no one's perfect.
Right. There's still always opportunities to grow and to be able to be more efficient in the way that you run your business. So that way then your hours are decreased on the small tasks. So that way then you can focus on the big goals for your business.
Yeah. So one of the things that you brought up was the recording of conversations. It's AI doing things. It also has the AI writing feature for its emails and stuff that are all now like learning from the way that you've communicated with your clients and stuff. But for those who don't use a CRM that has conversation recording capabilities like what HoneyBook does, if you're doing your consults, your IPS calls, whatever it might be, with a Zoom or a Google Meet, those have note-taking built in now. Like you don't need a third-party tool. But if your CRM and if you're using your CRM for monitoring conversations and things like that, or having if your CRM even offers its own built-in conversation tool, using what's built in, always ideal, rather than having to install browser extensions and do all this other stuff. Again, like going back to AI, like AI has been around for quite some time, right? It wasn't talked about big time until about, I would say, 5 years ago. And in those 5 years, it's come so far. The fact that now things are built in, things are so efficient, so streamlined, is just it's a game-changing thing for many businesses. So using what tools have to offer you without you having to search for another thing and another thing is a big win.
Absolutely.
So are you using HoneyBook's like AI analysis for like lead evaluations and stuff like that?
Oh yeah, to like kind of see where the differentiation is between the type of leads that you get. Yeah. Oh yeah, I love data. That's where I love looking at the numbers, and like that's where I also nerd out a little bit. I love to see, and like that was some of the information I shared at the workshop. My friend Jesse and I did. Lead is I showed where like all my referral sources were coming from over the past 6 months, and it was really cool to see where I'm strong in and where I need to improve in. And that's why I explained, like back in the fall, my Google inquiries were like almost nothing. And so that's what's really cool, is you can utilize those tools to help you figure out where you can improve in some areas, while the other areas that you're efficient and successful in are almost like coasting for you.
Yeah. What is your top refer, if you don't mind me asking? Like what source?
I would say vendor referrals. So venues.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that's a good problem to have.
No, I'm truthfully so grateful for it, because I never ask them to put me on their preferred vendor list or anything. It's just about creating those great relationships that I talked about early on. But it's I always feel pretty honored when someone reaches out to me because the venue recommended me.
Yeah, I would say, like, as photographers, of course we want Google to be we want to be ranking well on Google, right? But word of mouth, no matter where the word of mouth comes from, word of mouth always wins,
dude,
right?
It's the best.
And if word of mouth is coming from a vendor, a venue, or any vendor, that is a huge win for us as photographers. So
yeah, because there's just that our added level of trust already built in, that you almost get to take away that first step of knowing that you can provide a great experience because somebody already told them you do. Mm-hmm. Like it's already taken away some of that pressure there.
Yeah. I'm going to ask you one more question before we wrap this up.
Sweet.
And that is, what advice, if you could give advice to an aspiring photographer, somebody who's just getting started out, whether Whether it's wedding, whether it's family, whether it's engagement, whatever it might be, right? It's people though. It's people photography. Let's go with that. What advice would you give for somebody who's brand new? Maybe they have experience with photography, but they've never thought about business until now. Now they're getting into business.
Yeah. Okay. So they have the skill set, but they're trying to figure out how to make this actually.
They don't know what to do with it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Best piece of advice is to network and build relationships with people in the industry that are well established. And you are going to run into people that are not going to be a good fit, or they're not going to be interested, but you can't let that deter you from trying to find the right people that are going to invest in you too. I mean, there's going to be people that are going to say no, or there's people that are going to charge for their time, which is fine. But it's about finding the right people in the community that you want to establish a relationship with, that are going to invest in you and be a part of your journey and building you up in the right way. So, and there's opportunities through Facebook and Instagram groups. There's networking events, anything that you can do to try to find and build those relationships is going to be the ultimate driver in your success early on and continuously, truthfully.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, you never want to stop doing that stuff.
No.
Getting together with, another photographer who's had a business for a while and just take them out for coffee or for lunch and just talk and shop and do it often. Right.
Yeah.
Or when's your next event? When's your next workshop coming? You got another one planning?
So we are in the beginning stages of planning our next one, which we're really excited about. So we haven't given out much details yet, but it will be next spring, and we're super pumped about it.
So on that note, can you share with those listening, and this will be in the show notes as well, where can people learn more about you? Hello there. Learn more about you, dig into, check out all of your incredible photography, and of course, find out when your next workshop. Oh, and also you have a podcast, so you can share that
too. Oh yeah, that thing. Okay, I'm almost done. Yes, go ahead. Bye. Yes. Some marshmallow. You can edit
Kids,
that part out.
gotta love them.
So yeah, you can find me just for my photography information. TPI Photography is my website, tpiphotography.com. And also my Instagram is TPI Photography, TikTok, Facebook. You don't have to worry about finding me on Facebook. It's okay. Nobody really does that anymore. But Instagram and TikTok is where I'm mainly at. And then our workshop page is called Thrive Wedding Workshop, all one word, for the Instagram page. That's where we have some information. We're going to start building out a actual website for that soon, just to be able to provide more in-depth information. But you can find us at Thrive Wedding Workshop on Instagram. And you can also check out my podcast, the Wedding Lens Lounge podcast, on Apple and Spotify.
And I may link to the episode where I was the guest on the...
Oh, dude, you have to. I wouldn't expect anything less.
Yeah. That's the way it goes. That's the way it goes.
Yeah, dude, that was such a fun conversation too.
Yeah, it really was. Taylor, thank you for hopping in, chatting with me, sharing all of your insights. We've been wanting to do this for a while, so I'm glad that we were able to do it. And yeah, I look forward to everybody hearing all of what you shared.
Yeah, dude. Thanks for having me. It was an honor, and I always enjoy chatting with you.
You have been listening to the Workflows Photography Podcast. To hear more from Workflows, to learn more about our guest, and for an exclusive offer for Workflows listeners, please go to workflowspodcast.com. And be sure to subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Thank you for tuning in. Until next time.